The most common that everybody knows about is alcohol and drug addiction.
Okay.
For sure. That is no, for real. The trope that is so true. Oh my God. I remember I was at parties in Miami. I go in a hotel room, cocaine piled this high. I can say this, I've never taken cocaine in my life. Swear on the Bible, swear to God, Mom, if you're watching this, never.
Be
And I'd
proud of
walk
me,
in the
mama.
rooms. That's right.
So, welcome back on a Rumbling Facts podcast where we dive into uncomfortable truths and talk about subjects that most people are going to shy away from. And today's guest is very special. We're joined with somebody truly extraordinary, a person who is often referred as the secret weapon of Hollywood. She worked with some of the biggest top 1%, helping elite clients navigate both their personal and professional transformation of how they live, think, and lead. She's built an unmatched reputation for getting results and making things happen behind the scenes. From coaching high-profile clients to working alongside celebrities, she knows what it takes to truly succeed in this world. And today, we're lucky enough to get an inside look at the secrets and strategies that shape the lives of those that live in the 1%. Welcome, Leslie Juvin-Acker. To the show. Is that how you say your name?
Leslie Juvin-Acker, but it's okay.
Wow, okay, that's a bit more complicated than I thought.
You can call me anything as long as it's not late for dinner.
So you're known as the secret weapon of Hollywood. How does that title, what does that title mean in terms of what you do behind the scenes to help those top tier celebrities?
I think it is managing pressure, internal pressure, external pressure. The tides of Hollywood are very fickle, and sometimes people don't know how they got there. But I do. I know how people get to where they are in terms of the financing, in terms of the, who do we need now, and what are we looking for, and what sells, honestly, because at the end of the day, Hollywood is a business. It's entertainment, and it's selling something. And I think the difference between somebody who makes it and who doesn't make it doesn't know that very essential thing. What am I selling, and who am I selling it for? And unfortunately, when people don't know that, they end up feeling like they're selling their souls. And so people turn to me for guidance. They turn to me for direction so they don't lose their soul. What does it gain if you gain everything and lose your soul? So fame, everybody wonders what that is. Money, everybody wonders what it is to have that. And I know what it is. The deep down, dark personal stories. I think if anybody who's ever watched, True Hollywood Stories and shows like that, everybody wonders what goes on behind the scenes. And I have to say, hate to tell you, but there's nothing different between a celebrity and yourself, except that all of your struggles are on camera and in the news and in media, and yours are not. There really is no difference. And the difference between somebody who is high profile and who's not is that they hire someone like me to help them manage that and to get through it without damaging the reputation, damaging the brand, and making sure that they remain sellable and marketable.
Because I'm sure, let's say the person goes into like a detox examples because he needs this there. Well, it becomes publicized to the highest degree. So these people that just want to advance in their life, even if they have an addiction or anything, well, no matter what they do, even if it's a good move, people are being like, oh, look at him. He's lost now. He needs to go to detox. It's like these people get... we think we get judged. These people get even judged even more.
I
What's
think
the
so.
what's the
Yeah.
biggest transformation you've witnessed in a celebrity who was initially struggling, and how did they overcome these challenges?
I think just the first thing that comes to mind, just as you even say that, was I had a client who was climbing quite high in his career. And I think when you are in that kind of position to climb high and you become self-conscious and you're aware that other people are looking at you, and you're aware that every one of your moves is being judged, and you don't want to hurt your family, but there's a lot of temptation out there that makes you want to hurt your family, whether it's through drug abuse, alcohol abuse, affairs, sex, all sorts of stuff, abandoning your family. One particular client said to me, my greatest fear is becoming a narcissist. That's my greatest fear. So
Wow.
I think it's a very mature look
Absolutely.
at oneself, because hate to tell you, but the industry's full of narcissists, not a surprise. But
Yeah.
it's full of people in love with their own image. But the problem with that is that you don't know who you really are because you're creating this image. I call it the little I and the big I. The big I is your self awareness and kind of the eternal aspect of yourself, your soul, that is
Yeah.
very much aware of everything that you're doing. And it kind of is like that still small voice. And then there's this little I. This is this little person that you're creating. This is the image you want everybody to see. And the more you focus on that, the more obsessed with the
You
image
become,
you
yeah.
become. Yeah. So that it's so common. I feel in a weird way what I'm saying is so common knowledge, but I see it from the back end from
Yeah.
a very different point of view. But that was the biggest one. It was like somebody becoming very aware, like, oh, I think I'm becoming a narcissist, because this is the path. I've said to somebody the other day, when working with me, a client usually is on this kind of cross section of a path, and it's becoming the person you want to be. And it's
Hmm.
scary because you don't know really who you are. You're getting to know yourself in life. You're discovering who you are, your fullest capacities, your soul, the aspects of yourself, very metaphysical and spiritual. And then there's this path where it's like, well, I want power and I want money and I want control and I want all these things. And what would it be like if I was famous and all this stuff? And you're
Hmm.
going on that path. But it's really this path of these paths of two different versions of yourself. And to be vulnerable is very scary. And to have a curated image of yourself, that's where you can have the most control. And so learning to let yourself trust life, as we all do, that is that thing. But unfortunately, for people who are in the high profile, there is this temptation to create this and to control this image of yourself that sells, that people want to pick up magazines and books and click and stuff on.
I would think that most people, in Hollywood and everything, a lot of them are narcissistic, but not because they're bad people or anything like that. It's because I don't think anybody in life has been prepared to have that many lights on you, have that much power. Like nobody told themselves when they were born, "Oh, that's where I'm gonna be." And when you get there, then you start realizing, damn, you start thinking more of just you there, because you realize that you're very different than 99% of the people. So automatically you almost become narcissistic, or and not trust most of the people. Do you think that's one of the reasons? Is because like we're not a human being is not made for having a million eyes on yourself.
Yeah, I think you raise a very good point, because a lot of people who are in Hollywood and who have big social media followings and these kinds of things, there is this sense of lack of control over other people's opinion over you. The one of the greatest limiting beliefs or fears is that this desire to be liked and loved by everybody. And I've said all the time, always on my social media and in my own personal story, is that when you grow up in an environment where people don't love you, if you're somebody who's neglected or abused and these types of things, a lot of entertainers are looking for love, external
Yeah.
love. They want that validation. They want it, and you can get it with 30,000 people screaming how much they love you.
Mm.
Um, and the problem is that external love is very conditional. It depends on your ability to perform and say the right thing and do the right thing and make the right choices and to look a certain way. And if you are not those things, it's like Felicity back in the 90s or whatever, when she cut her hair. Nobody liked her because she didn't have long curly hair. I mean, that's an absurd thing, but it did happen. And so there is this conditionalness of love. And I've told people, you have to learn to love yourself more than 8 billion people combined could love you. You have to have that kind of love for yourself. Do you know how to love yourself more than anybody? Can you love yourself when people are lying about you and throwing insults and who are going on gossip pages and saying stuff, whether they're true or false? Can you withstand that? Are you resilient enough for this world full of hate and violence and abuse? Can you withstand that? Can you be somebody to love yourself and not care? Unfortunately, and I've seen this with like mega famous people, is that they can't. They need that external validation. They want the good press. They want people to say good things, but you have to learn to live without it. You have to. And it could, if you make it on an individual level, whether you're at your job or in your own family, you have to learn to live without people telling you, oh, I love you and this. And,
for sure. Especially strangers there.
Yeah, they're strangers, and honestly, this is the other thing I've said to clients, is that if you wouldn't take life advice from them, what does it even matter what they say?
Exactly.
What about their opinion matters to you? But it's, but people don't like to be labeled. They don't like to be labeled, oh, I don't like her, I don't like him, and they're not likable, and all these other things. And that's putting love external to yourself. If the source of love is external to you, you're always going to feel insecure for it because you don't have it from within yourself.
Absolutely. And I think I can't even imagine being somebody that like anything you would say online there, you would need to rethink it 5 times before putting it online and everything. Is like a lot of people that, for example, supported Donald Trump and that were celebrities shut their fucking mouth about it because the media companies were all anti-Trump. So they knew that if they did that move, even if they did support Trump, even if they did vote for Trump, they knew that they would do that. They would fucking destroy their image out of nowhere for the media. So people are now scared to say what they think, they feel, and it's literally it's like literally a loop on them at all time, like the ant with the sun there.
Well, what's interesting is that I was talking to somebody who's an influencer, and I was up in LA, and we were talking, and this person particularly said to me, it doesn't matter what I say. I can say anything I want. I don't even believe what I'm saying. And as long as it gets people riled up, I get paid. There's that too.
Yeah, there's some that get paid with the shaking the shit around.
Exactly. So there's that.
Yeah,
I think like the people who get their paychecks from different people, you're always being conscious of who's feeding. But then that goes also, I might say, is that the other part of externalizing love is externalizing your wealth. And if your wealth and your income, the source of that is always external to you, and there's somebody always paying your bills and giving you money and these types of things, you're always going to be subject to that external. So I always teach, and I even teach in Engineering Your Mood, my book, is that the source of wealth has to come from within you. You have to feel that coming out of you, not coming to you, from somebody external to you, whether it's your parents. I mean, let's just keep it simple. Like, I've coached a lot of trust fund babies, and their whole life is funded by their parents, everything, their homes, their cars, their education, their groceries, their Grubhub. Wow. And if your parent is gone, where's your money coming from? They don't know that. So the irony is that I'm being paid by ultra wealthy parents to teach their kids to not depend on them, even though there's children who should be dependent on them. So going back to that, there's always, Hollywood and corporation and all of this politics is all business. What are we selling? What are we making money on? I have a degree in law. I have a degree in international affairs, comparative politics. I studied business. And I learn all of this stuff, and it's always about business. It's always about what we're trying to make, and whether it could be money or trying to get market share or trying to do something. you always got to go, what's the bottom line? Why are you in front of me? That's why I was a career coach and a life coach, because sometimes there would be this gray line that you're trying to, you're trying to do something, but then there are moral and ethical questions and spiritual questions that come in and go, well, am I really doing the right thing?
So that's why you went to go get those 2 skills. So let's say something happens, like, I got that covered too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really necessarily go in thinking that was what I was going to do, but the career aspect was that everybody needs a job. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to make money. Everybody needs to provide for their family. So that was how I got into it, helping people. And then the more my intuitive abilities grew and people's energy was starting to communicate to me, the more I was able to see on the spiritual aspect of what is really going on from a karmic point of view, a spiritual action point of view that this person is experiencing in their life. And I think once you start to approach life from this higher meta point of view of what am I really doing? What's really the bottom line here from a soul point of view, then I can really align all my business choices to really make a match there. So I don't have this incongruency from within myself. I don't have inner conflict from within myself that's making me feel pain and suffering and hurt and loneliness and all these things that all human beings suffer when we're on earth.
People see the fame and fortune, but what are some of the most surprising struggles that come with being in the spotlight, especially when you're ultra successful in life, that most people wouldn't even think about?
Honestly, I think the number one thing from everything that I've ever heard is a lot of people don't really believe that other people truly love them. I think they think that they're after for their money. Really.
Wow. Yeah.
Really. I mean, I've coached some of the richest people on the planet, some of the most successful people in corporate, people who've owned their own businesses and live in mansions and all these things. And I'm there. There ain't nobody around with them. They're lonely. I think that's the thing, is that they don't know who to trust. They don't know who really loves them. Are they really there for, because, these types of clientele, they pay with giant wads of cash. They don't have credit cards. It's always like giant wads of cash and they're giving them out. Everybody's on your payroll. You know what I mean? Really.
Absolutely. Even your team is normally paid for, so the guy always laughs at your joke, but at a certain point you're like, is that joke really good, or if the guy's just tagging along?
Oh yeah, my children are on my payroll, for example. I've got trust fund kids here. They don't know who's really there, who really loves them, who's really looking out for them. And the thing is that these are not dumb people. Like from a business point of view, from an intelligence point of view, they're very, very intelligent. That's where emotional intelligence comes to play, because they don't know how to read people at a certain point. They just don't know how to read people's intentions. They don't know. That's why they have me come. I've literally been hired to sit into a courtroom during divorce proceedings and read the judge and read the lawyers, read the people on each side, and tell my client what I really see. Seriously.
That's awesome.
I have been called into any kind of board meaning, just sit and tell me what you see. So I can just read the people and tell them this is what I see. I mean, it's very like biblical, it's like that one story of the guy who's the Pharaoh hires to like be his dream interpreter. He's like Joseph, right? It's like, there is a market for that. But you have to be really, really good. There's a lot of phonies out there. I've worked with people who are like, and socialized with people who call themselves life coaches and spiritual intuitive coaches, and they're just big fat phony balloonies living, in poverty, and they've got this image and they've got a few successful clients, but it's just, scam. So I always want to make sure that people know that it's so rare to find somebody with longevity in this industry of coaching people, because a lot of people are in and they're out. They think it's easy money, that you could just easily build $300, and smart people built their businesses and built brands and create things and make movies and stuff. You think after a while they're not going to see who's phony baloney or not?
It's hard to tell now. It's hard to tell now because people can put the facade they fucking want in a video. There's full of fake gurus that appeared in the last like 5-6 years. telling like having ads on YouTube saying, this is the way, just follow my course, and these people are in and out. You see new gurus appear all the time. It's like, wow, we're in a world that these people are trying to take money from everybody, from the top 1% or the people that want to get there. It's incredible. So finding somebody that has a longevity in there is rare, I think.
It is. It's an image industry. You know, it's always an image industry. I mean, some of the people like who are some of the biggest names in coaching and entertainment and podcasting and all this stuff. People for years, I mean, people come to my house and be like, I listen to so-and-so's podcast and I listen to so-and-so. And I never say anything negative about these people, but in the back of my head, I'm going, this guy is a phony baloney, or this lady is a joke, you know, and you have to let time tell. Time was always the greatest teller. So I'd been coaching up until I retired and stopped charging money for 14 years. You don't sit in there and you don't have a career for nothing after that, after all that time. And I remember people go, oh, I'm listening to this podcast and, you know, so-and-so so liberal and spiritual. I'm like, no, they're not, baby. They're just taking your money. And then time always tells. It always tells. So I try to like, and I've always told my clients, and after a point when I retired and I stopped taking money and I would help people, I would always tell people, don't tell anybody I helped you and don't give out my phone number, because I'm not here about making clout and profiting off of people and these kinds of things that I think, especially in my industry, when you're helping people, of course you have the right to make money and to bill for your time because you're not taking care of your family. You know, there's that exchange, right? You're not doing the things you want to do. You're making time for somebody else. I think that you should be compensated for that. But then there's a certain period where some coaches like to use celebrity names to give themselves clout. And they say, yeah, you should use celebrity names to give yourself clout. I don't do that. I don't do it at all. And I've never done that. Actually, in my entire practice, before I work with a client, I give them a form saying, I will not disclose your name. I will not say these things, because I think that kind of integrity, you can't buy that. It's only a promise of my goodwill that I don't sell that. I mean, my husband doesn't even know. A major majority, 99% of my clients, he doesn't even know. And so I'll say something to him. Oh yeah, I knew that was coming out. And he goes, how did you knew that thing? You know, the Me Too thing? Oh my God, I knew all that stuff before, years before. Lawsuits that came out, I knew all of that. But I couldn't tell because I was under NDA. So I'm not in that business of selling somebody's name for my own. I think I'm at this point now where I can say that I did all of this because I'm not accepting new clients. But I think like discretion and trust is one of those things. You can't sell it. You can't make somebody be discreet. You can't make somebody be trustworthy. That's a part of your brand. So that was how I was able to build my brand in this industry, is that people would refer to me. But by the end of it, I would just tell people, don't refer to me. I don't want to be famous for working with famous people.
Did you ever see the TV show Scandal?
No, I haven't.
Well, Scandal is a girl that gets paid by X people to clean up a problem or clean up something to all happen behind the scenes. So the person that doesn't get all the media, the cameras on them, and the attention right away. So she fixes the problem behind the scenes, and why the girl got bigger. And it's based on the story of the real person, Olivia Pope. But I don't know if that's the real name of the person, but that's the character. And that's why it's so important, because most of the people at the top, the only thing they want is trust between the person that they're going to talk to their problems about. So doing what some other gurus do, like one of my clients is Mark Cuban and Shaquille O'Neal. It's like, okay, it's all good, but you're literally trying to make a name off their name, and it's so less I think private there, because most of these people that have problems and everything, they don't want it to the whole world to know. That's why they're trying to fix it behind the scenes there.
That's true. My my horse riding instructor, Beth Boyer, her dad was one of the founding guys for a very huge Hollywood press association, and he was a PR agent. And you know, we're talking because I don't know. I always seem to gravitate towards people who worked with entertainers. I don't know how it is, but anyway, so we're at the barn and, we're shoveling horse poop and, we're commiserating in our life and stuff because, she's had this illustrious career as a horse trainer in the racing world. And I'm, spilling my heart to her and she's spilling her heart to me. And she said, my dad would these, back in the day when being gay was not okay. It was not
Yeah.
marketable. It was not socially acceptable. And, all sorts of scandals. And she said, yeah, my dad would make sure that never hit the headline. He would pay off every single person. And image is everything in Hollywood. Image now in politics is everything. And unfortunately, people buy way more into image than substance. Unfortunately, like even for me, when I first graduated undergrad, I worked as a reporter and reporting news in Miami, Hollywood news, and I'd go to parties. That was really fun. And then politics. And I used to have my editor double check everything I wrote for accuracy. That level and that standard of accuracy and truthfulness and reporting, they don't have that anymore. Political reporting and news reporting is all like ragmags now. We don't have journalistic standards anymore.
No.
And it's sad because we've taken politics and turned it into entertainment. And that's what I was saying earlier with that one influencer I was telling you about. They just say anything to get people enraged and they make money off of it. If you're enraged and you don't know why, like I'm saying, if you know why
They're doing
you're
a good job.
yeah, it's like if you know why you're upset because your family don't have health care, if your family is struggling to find work and you've got an epidemic of drug addiction in a community, that's a healthy and legitimate reason to be enraged. That's a very healthy reason because that means that anger will propel you to do something constructive about it. But if you're just angry just to be angry and you're angry at somebody and you don't even know why, you're even having a real legitimate experience to be angry at somebody, whether it's an immigrant or a woman or a man or whatever, and then somebody's making money off of
that. Yeah.
Somebody's making money off of your anger. And that kind of emotional control is what basically media is today. And it's a business. It's Hollywood. It's image making.
And even if we're better now with gay people, black people, and the rights that women have, well, we're still not ready to put a man that's gay president. It's like they need to put that hand on the Bible and literally with the Bible, they're so anti the gay people. It's ridiculous. So in history, you're almost forced to believe in God for sure, because if you don't believe in God, you can't be president because they're going to put that hand on the Bible and you're going to fail right there. And then you got to be straight. And almost all the time, the guy that is put president, he already has a wife. They're not trying to get this single dude up there. So
That's a good point.
We're still in the mindset of like that person needs to be married, needs to be clean, can't be gay. Can't. It's like what the fuck? It's like a lot of people believe in Allah instead of God. It's like but we judge and we put people like, oh, you need to do this to be president or advance here in your career. So that's what scares everybody. And I learned that I finished a Riverdale, and that's based on the Archie cartoons. And I realized we're doing research that Archie initially, the cartoon they wanted to put Archie gay. But they were like, they were like, oh, we can't sell this gay redhead, so they didn't put him gay. But in the Riverdale at the final, they showed that maybe he had a tendency of gay. And when I saw that in the TV show, I was like, why did they put that? And I looked up, and then I realized that initially, years ago, they wanted to put him gay, but they knew that couldn't sell. And thank God they did, because it's one of the biggest cartoons now. But we're such in a world of judging and expectations of people, like of what they believe, of what they feel, of what they. It's fucking incredible.
I think it's interesting you say that because in my book Engineering Your Mood, I talk about how we create God in our own image. We create a vision and an image of God in our own image. So if God is angry, it's because we're angry. If God is judgmental, it's because we're judgmental. If God is abusive, it's because we're abusive. And we have to really liken ourselves in the true image of God, which is love. A lot of people don't know how to articulate what love is. They don't know how to express it. They don't know how to let it shine out of them like a light. They don't know how to just live in the moment and be loving. And so we create this image of a God who's violent and judgmental and critical and hurtful, and induces pain in other people and loves to watch suffering. And so it really is at a certain point in our lives when we have an identity crisis because we look in the mirror and we don't like who we see. We don't like our lives. We don't like the people around us. We don't like what we're doing, and we don't like how we're making money. We have an identity crisis. We all will have one, at least one. We all have one where we look in the mirror and go, I don't like what I see. And you have to reevaluate who's creating that image.
I realize
that to change it.
I realize a big misconception of God is like people we've been told by movies or whatever that you pray for something, it's gonna appear. I'm telling you, people, I prayed for that Lamborghini since I'm 4 years old. Where is it? It's not there, people, because that's not how it works. You serve God, not the opposite way around. Not like, what a Lambo, show up, give me the Lambo. That's not how it works. And I learned with a lot of people that were spiritual that God is not out there. God is within. So
yeah.
A lot of people are looking for this God outer. It's not outer, it's inner, people.
An external expression. I think I talk about in engineering mode, you are a formless, shapeless awareness. You are a life-giving force. You are aware of being. You are aware of being someone, and you will become aware of being someone other than this that you are now aware of being. I was aware of being a 9-year-old once. Am I 9-year-old now? No. I was aware of being a pregnant woman once. Am I a pregnant woman now? No. So we're consciously changing this concept of ourselves and this image that we're projecting into the world. And we're getting to know who we really truly are. And we're not this like flesh bag externalization. It is an externalization of our mind. It's an externalization of everything we believe and assume to be true and what we signed up for when we enter into this world. These are the things I talk about with my clients after a certain point of realizing like more than just balancing the bank account, more than just maintaining your image. It's like really serious metaphysical, spiritual things. We talk about higher things. Like they love talking about, abstract books, and they go to the Napoleon Hill point or like the Neil Donald Walsh like Conversations with God stuff, and then we go to the Hermetica. Then we talk about Neville Goddard stuff. We talk about the Bible and its literal and metaphysical meanings, and we talk about everything you could possibly, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. We talk about the Bhagavad Gita.
I'm looking for a copy of that. I'm looking for a copy of that book.
Which one?
The Book of the Dead there. I'm looking for it.
Oh, the Egyptian Book of the Dead?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm a collector and that one I want it.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like we start to ask ourselves some higher, deeper questions. Especially when you've achieved all sorts of success. I've gone to $10 million mansions with my clients on the beach and their family and these sprawling estates and all these things. And after you kind of have all the physical things, all the accoutrements of success, then you really want to know some of the deeper things, like who is God, what is love, who loves me, what's my purpose here,
what's my direction exactly.
Yeah. I've had people Skype me from other countries and say, well, what am I going to do in my next life? These kinds of questions. So I think as a career coach from a very bottom dollar, I've worked with working class people. That's a majority of my career, is working with working class people, teaching students in a business school and doing these things. And once you kind of Maslow's, hierarchy of needs and all of this, you start to go, okay, once you have the car in the garage and the chicken in the oven and the warm bed and all the things, you really start to ask these higher questions. But I think, which is really kind of funny, is once you start to have life from a more spiritual approach, then the material starts to externalize. So
it becomes way less important after.
Yeah, and it does, because I've been in all
it's not important.
things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. You
Exactly.
realize at the end of the day, you know, when people, I mean, there's some really cruel people in the world and who do mean things and who are violent and hurtful. And people go, well, how can you just, you know, be okay with that? And I say, the ultimate punishment is having to live with yourself. I get to get up and walk out the room. They still got to live with themselves. You have to carry yourself everywhere you go. And if you're a
Mm-hmm.
horrible person to somebody else, odds are you're 10 times more horrible to yourself. So there's a lot of compassion in that I have, because I realize that ultimately success is just being able to go from one experience to another, one place to another, and feeling good from within. Absolutely feeling good within, and this ability to control your mood, your thoughts, and how you feel on a consistent basis. Self mastery. That's
Mm-hmm.
why people come to me, because once you realize that you can have all the things, you can have so much money, an ungodly amount of money, unnecessary amount of money, and still feel like your body's rebelling against you and you don't have true friendships and relationships. Then you realize, oh, none of this stuff is actually helping me to master myself, my mood, my emotions, my thoughts.
That is so true. Joe Rogan said at a certain point when he got his first big condo, when he got that TV show, he's like, I bought this condo and I was proud there. And after 2 weeks, what I felt, it felt like home. The same thing that I felt 10 years ago in my sad ass apartment. I had the same feeling. It's like the high of this big apartment at the beginning. Yeah, the first week or two. But at a certain point, when you get back home after work, it just becomes home.
I remember when I first got a nice apartment when I moved to North Hollywood in 1994. I got a loft apartment and a pool table in it and a nice stereo, and I was like, this is incredible. I have a nice apartment. This is amazing. And then after a while, it just became my house. It became where I live. And I realized at that moment, I'm like, oh, this just, it's all the same feeling. Like, all you need in a house is it to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You need a TV and a kitchen and
it's
a
not
couch
supposed
and a bed.
to. It's supposed. It's the place that you sleep.
Yeah, it's a place where you relax.
It's not the place where you live the entirety of your life.
You can relax almost anywhere that's comfortable and safe. That's all you need. And then everything else is kind of bullshit. When I moved to California, it was the first time I had a nice apartment. And I'll never forget this either. I was sitting in my apartment, and it was a beautiful place in North Hollywood. I had a loft, I had a pool table in my apartment. I was like, this is amazing. How is this real? How is this mine? After a while, it just became my house. And then I realized, like, oh, this is the same feeling I have when I'm home that I had in my shitty apartment in New York. It's the same feeling. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is home. It's the same feeling. It's not better. Mm-hmm. It's not worth the amount of money that it costs if you're like renting a house. It's way over your budget and you're doing Uber just to try to pay your bills. It's not worth that. It's what's worth it is if it's comfortable. If you have a TV and you have a nice bed and you can cook your meals, you're good. Mm-hmm. That's what you need. That's all you need.
That's it. It's not this big place. So he was realizing that no matter what place I have, it's just gonna give me the same feeling of home. So let's stop thinking that I should get the biggest thing or the biggest car, because it's just gonna be that same feeling, and that great feeling that we have buying an object is temporary. It disappears. That feeling, it disappears quite fast compared to another.
That's it. I think what you're saying is that we all have our homeostasis. We all have our habitual mood. We have what the Bible calls and the metaphysical books calls our dwelling place. We have a habitual dwelling place that we take with us everywhere. So if you're a SOB at home, you're going to be SOB at work. You're going to be an SOB on the beach in San Tropez in a yacht, baby. It's not going to change just because of your environment and how much money you have. You have your habitual dwelling place. You have your habitual state, and the ability to change that no matter where you go, you just are floating and you're enjoying and you're savoring your life. And I think that's the ultimate achievement for me, is that I could go everywhere and smile on my face and know that the world will smile back to me. Because honestly, what you said too, it's like, I remember being in my early 20s, 19 years old, 60 cents in the bank account, just as happy as I am now.
That's it.
I'm a happy girl. It doesn't really matter. I can make a place into a beautiful home. You have this vibe. You have this vibe. You're in control of your vibe. You get to choose your
Absolutely.
vibe. Yeah.
Do you think it's harder for celebrities to find real love because we're such in a world that even when you're poor, there we got trouble finding love because the intention of the other, you're like, oh, is he there just for sex? Is he there for this? Is he there for that? So I can't even fucking imagine when you got like 30 million in the bank and you're big, they're big followers and everything. Then anybody that talks to you on the other sex, you're like, is that person coming for me because of the light I got, the money I got? I can't even imagine like how to separate and to figure out if that person is really into you. And like a lot of men, I realize what they do, like sports people or big actors. They make sign those NDNAs to people that they meet. Because in case that they fuck, well, you're not gonna come back. I mean, they need to protect themselves. So your first date, you're telling the girl like, "Oh, we're probably gonna fuck. So sign this on paper right now. You're probably not gonna have your cell phone when you arrive at my place," to protect himself. Because there's some girls I saw there. They did this to fucking Soldier Boy. There's a girl that was dating him, and when he was in the shower, she did a video. And like, oh, he has a small cock, and like showing the money on the table and the chain, like really proving that it was him. And like people were like, what the fuck? Like you have the chance of like spending time with this person, but she literally does not give a shit at all. She just wanted to be there because of the light that this guy has. Probably the celebrity life, it's even harder to find love. Do you think?
I think it's funny you say that because, like I said, and I've been with my husband for almost 20 years. I was a child bride. I always say
wow,
that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I've been with my husband for a very long time. I met him when I was, 20. And the thing is that marriage is a business, period.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't want to admit it. They go, oh, yeah, well, it's only love. No, if you cannot work with somebody in a team and operate in a way where sometimes you have to put your feelings aside and collaborate with each other and do things. Yeah, we signed a prenuptial agreement. Yeah, it's a business arrangement. It was I had a lawyer, he had a lawyer. Our separate property is separate property, and and of course the lawyer is going to tell you once you have kids that becomes worthless because everything changes with children. But marriage is a business. It is about making money. It is about providing for your family. It is about your family name and the image you put out there in terms of your character and how you want people to experience your family, your values. And a lot of people, unfortunately, the clients that I've coached are professional athletes. They were with their high school sweethearts. So they didn't think about that. They were just,
yeah.
And I hate to tell you this, but a lot of these girls, they're just with this guy. He's my guy and she's my girl. And it's this very like American thing. And they go together and he gets some stuff. And guess what? He cheats. Most of the time he cheats. How could he possibly do this to me? I've been at home and this woman, and from my clientele point of view, these women are faithful. They have the job, they take care of the kids, they hold down the fort when they travel, they help them when they're injured, they do all these things, and then they don't have protection when their husband cheats. And so women, and women have come a long way in terms of property rights. Women have to assert their property rights, and they have to assert the value that they bring into the place. From a good faith point of view. I'm not talking about women who are like Soldier Boy going in and taking stuff.
Yeah.
And social climbers and clout chasers and all these things. I'm talking from a different point of view, from my point of view with my clientele. It's like, be smart. It's not hard to have an open conversation about, well, we break up. How is this going to work? What's your fair share? What's my fair share? And be intelligent about money. And a lot of people, like I said, they enmesh love and romance with money. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you, it's two different things. If you love somebody, you're going to want to have these conversations. So there's that. And then, like, there's no joke. Like, I go to parties and there are famous people there, and I mostly ignore them. I'm not really. I'm so bored of it. I'm so bored of it. So I mostly ignore them. And yeah, but people, you know, they want to say, oh, I was at this party with so and so, and you know, they want to know everything they did, and with cameras around, and people are sneaky, and the thing is, with celebrities who have been around so many people like that, they tend to gravitate towards people who usually don't carry phones on them, who are equally wealthy, who have just as much to lose as they do. And so they hedge themselves in this kind of environment. It can become isolating from what I've seen. But that's what you do to protect yourself when you feel like people are trying to come at you or exploit you or take advantage, as you say, of their life. I've seen that. But, you know, and the other thing is that, and I've seen this in Miami, I've seen this in LA, I've seen this in New York, is that when celebrities go out, they usually just go for an appearance and they usually go home with their entourage.
And they probably get paid for their appearance normally too.
Yeah, you're going out, you're having an appearance, you're getting paid, you have your manager, you have your publicist there who's curating that entire image, and then you go home and you're hanging out with your entourage, or in some cases, nobody at all, your close family. And I have to say, it's kind of sad because you don't really get to mix and mingle with the people who adore you and love your stuff, and because you just don't know. You really just don't know who's out there who's trying to take advantage. But also the thing is, I think it's worse on social media than in real life, because most of the time people are not going to really bother you. They're not going to really do that unless you let some clout chaser come in and take videos of your stuff. But whenever I go to like famous people's homes, I'll post a little thing here and there, and sometimes I'll do like a little like, oh, guess where I am, or that kind of thing. But most of the time, you will never find pictures of me with a celebrity. Rarely ever.
I realized that. I did a lot of research.
Rarely ever. Rarely ever. And also,
that's why it's called a secret weapon, people.
And the other reason why, I'll tell you the main reason why. A lot of people think it's just to protect them. It's because if stuff comes out about them, I'm not associated with that.
Yeah, I'm just here to help that person. I don't determine what he says, and
I just, it's not just for me to protect them and their privacy. It's for them to protect me and my privacy. I don't want to be associated with some of the stupid crap that people do, and then they come to me to help them get out of it. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to be associated, and I have children, so I don't want my children. I remember this one time my son came home and he says, "Mommy, are you famous?" And I just looked at him. I was like, "Where did you?" And he said to me, he was like, "My classmates were talking about you." I just didn't want him to know anything about it. I didn't want him to know anything about it.
What did you tell him?
I just said, "Mommy helps a lot of people who are on TV." And that's it.
That's a smooth way to say it.
I didn't want my kids knowing that. I don't want people to know that about my kids. And the other thing is, I used to get invited a lot to people's parties, and they'd find out that I'm a medium, and they go, "Can I have a reading? What do you see about me?"
Yeah, they all want something free after.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm supposed to help somebody, I show up. Because you said earlier something that I always say: you don't use God; God uses you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's my job to help somebody and to serve them or give them insight or give them relief in some way, that's God's doing that through me. That's my opinion. That's my belief. But and I will do it for free. I don't charge. But it's just kind of like it's not me that's doing the work. It's like Jesus said, it's the Father. It's Spirit. It's love that's doing the work through you. So for me, from a philosophical point of view, I try not to take credit for what I believe Spirit is doing for them. But also, I don't want to get caught up in people's affairs, and I don't want to get emails from the media and press and journalists asking me about what so-and-so did at this, sexual harassment trial.
What do you think is some of the most common mental health problems of people at the top that we don't know about?
Well, I mean, the most common that everybody knows about is alcohol and drug addiction. For sure. That is no, for real. The trope that is so true. Oh my God. I remember I was at parties in Miami. I go in a hotel room, cocaine piled this high. I can say this, I've never taken cocaine in my life. Swear in the Bible, swear to God, Mom, if you're watching this, never.
Be
And
proud of me, Mama.
That's right. I'd walk into that room and geez. So
like
you can
they're not even hiding it.
No. And once you're in that kind of entertainment circle, it's there and always available.
Dave Chappelle said it for the first time. He's like, I have this meeting with this high profile producer for a movie, and he starts putting the cocaine on the table while I'm talking straight with him, and he's like, so we're gonna do this movie, and he keeps talking. I'm like, let's not skip over the fact that you just sniffed a lie in front of my face. He's like, this what happens behind the doors there? You can't even imagine until you're at that level there.
At least if you're in the ATL and a nigga doing drugs in the ATL, the nigga at least excuse himself, go to the bathroom or some shit. Niggas in Hollywood just do the drugs right in front of you and act like ain't shit happened. You in the middle of a goddamn meeting. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the movie with you, and then we're gonna go back. Nigga, did you know that I can see you? Nigga, you right there. It's on your nose, nigga. What? Motherfuckers be gay in Hollywood, you never fucking expected. They be having these big ass mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited than a motherfucker to be at the mansion party. You be looking in all the goddamn rooms, and you fuck around and look in the wrong room and shit. Nigga, come here. Is that two niggas kissing? Is one of them niggas Professor Ovi? He came out the closet. Oh my God, a rubber.
There's no fucks given, like.
But it also says there's two types of justice systems. A lot of people of color are in prison for basically carrying this much in drugs when people can go around getting mountains of snow. There's that. But these struggles that people don't know about, institutionalized. People have to be institutionalized, like more than rehab, like really medically institutionalized.
Wow.
To this stress, the burnout. There is, combination of drugs and whatever, but it's just a internalized hatred because they feel like their success is just comes and goes. And, again, when you put your love and you put your success and you put your income dependent on everybody else outside of you, obviously, because you're in the entertainment industry and a billion people have to see your movie, right, to be successful or to buy your music or whatever. And when you're not getting that kind of results, it does have a psychological effect on you.
That you're not relevant as you were before, or you're like, why am I not getting this many views? Why am I not getting this much attention?
Yeah, so there is that institutionalized, having to kind of get a break. The other thing I can say, and this is something that's just recent conversations in my celebrity circle world with, mysterious illnesses that people have. It's 99.9% psychosomatic. Breakups, public humiliation, affairs, these types of things, and then they get ill and then they find themselves in like this spiral of sickness. There is this psychosomatic component of the psychological struggles that we face in life that I have seen, and it's not pretty. It's scary.
Is there a lot of hoarders in celebrities, like people?
Oh yeah,
that's
what my Reg clients. Yeah, they have. That's funny because I did have a conversation this past month about somebody that I know who's very successful, and they have warehouses of stuff.
Yeah.
Warehouse. And they
don't go to it, but they're just accumulating.
Yeah, it's not like hoarders where you're cleaning like gross.
Yeah. It's just new objects all the time.
poop in a can or something. It's not like that. It's like, oh, I have this Ferrari and I want to put it in the garage. But that's also systemic of something that a lot of people who talk about, the 1% and the 98% is hoarding. Really, I'm going to be honest with you from my experience of coaching ultra wealthy people. Hoarding is a mental illness.
Absolutely.
Hoarding money is a mental illness.
Hoarding
Think
money.
about that. Think about that.
Why
for a
is that
second.
bad? We're saving money today, like, no.
If you're hoarding $100 million and you're not investing, if you're not investing in young people, if you're not investing in education, if you're not investing in new businesses and giving people a chance, you're not investing in your community, you're not giving back to charities, you're not paying your taxes, and you have $100 million somewhere. Well, where's that money? You're creating financial deserts in your community. So that's from a legal and an economic perspective, is that hoarding is a mental illness. I've seen that.
It is, yeah.
And they don't want to pay their taxes. I'm telling you, they don't want to pay the taxes because they feel like, well, I've already done so much. I've created this business, and if I've already done so much, why should I pay taxes? But why should somebody have 20
like everybody
cars
else
that you don't use? I mean, I know this is very controversial, and people might criticize me for saying it and kind of being negative towards my ultra wealthy clients, but their own children who have seen it, they go, this is a mental illness. This is not healthy. It's not healthy to have this much money and be so fearful. You know what I mean? It's not about like, I just have a lot of money and I use it and I'm sharing it and I'm investing and I'm giving to scholarships. That's different. It's, I have so much money and I'm hiding it and I'm hoarding it. And I'm also psychologically in a negative mental state about it. And I feel like someone's going to take it away. That's not healthy. So a lot of people who are out there on the internet and who are saying like the ultra wealthy are hoarding money. Yeah, I'm telling you, they are. They absolutely are. And it's a mental illness. It is a mental illness.
Yeah, because they buy or keep these objects because they become emotionally attached to having it. When people face a lot of trauma and something like that, that's why the show Hoarders appeared. It's because a big trauma appeared in your life, and you're trying to fill this void with the objects that you keep just piling up at your place. There's that little high when you get that object, but it's so doesn't last that long. There, it's incredible how long it doesn't last.
Well, you say money doesn't buy you mental health, baby. But it's the work that you do. It's about releasing what you have and sharing and investing. I mean, it's not every single one of my clients. I've worked with like some of the biggest corporate executives and some of the biggest companies in the country. Remember, 96% of businesses are small businesses. Okay,
wow,
in
I didn't know that.
Wow. And so the very small percent of businesses are corporations, multi-billion-dollar corporations. So I've worked with a lot of these people in this. And then there's venture capital, and it's even smaller. So I work with these people. And I've worked with a lot, but my biggest clientele is in this section. Wow. So I've had some clients, maybe one or two who are like, GED or high school educated, went to community college, and because they love their job and people, they build these things and they're ultra success, right? And they get to this like small percentage group of people. And they work on this small percentage group of people, bankers, venture capitalists, corporations, and it's from a lot with people who have mental illness and personality disorders and who are hoarders and who are paranoid and all these things. And they get in here thinking they're going to make a big difference and scale their inventions and their factories and all these things that they've done to give to the people of the world. And they get there and it's greedy, scary, sexually abusive people. I hate to say it, but it's true. And then they get pushed out because it's so mentally unhealthy that they have to try and go and do something else at a different level, a different scale. Because these people control access to capital, they have to find money in a different way. So the control of capital in corporation and in Hollywood, it's so big, and a lot of people don't understand it. Wow. I learned it because I coached all these people here.
Yeah.
I get it. But there is a psychological profile within here that becomes very much like that movie, American Psycho. I think that's so accurate. It is like not from a murdering point of view,
Not
but
the
from
bathroom
that,
scene there, but
yeah, but from a pathology point of view, it
Yeah.
is. You know, the whole thing with the United Healthcare shooter thing. I coached in healthcare. My husband worked in it.
Wow.
And you know, and my husband worked with all these executives, and I work with executives. I work with people who make pharmaceuticals, and I can tell you what, right now, the first thing that everybody who worked around that CEO, I bet you $1 million that a lot of them said, I wonder how I can get his job.
Yeah.
They don't care. They didn't care about his family. They don't care about what happened to him. They don't care about what it means for America. That, you know, they go, how can I get his job? That's how it is.
Wow.
You could take me onto another episode. I could tell you all about that. And that's why I'm so big about corporate governance, is that America needs to hammer down on these corporations that are exploiting regular, everyday Americans, and to monitor these boards, these investors, and these executives who are creating a muck for the majority of genuinely good intentioned American people and immigrants and all these things. So I've seen this, and it is an ugly place. Hollywood is like a part of it. It's the image machine of this. It is. There's some really amazing artists and comedians and screenwriters that I've worked with, and actors and singers. And then when you get in here and you realize, oh my gosh, it's crazy here. You have two choices. Try to control it and win the Game of Thrones, or get out of it and kind of learn to enjoy your life outside of that. I did that.
As the last question, because I don't want to keep you too long, having worked with various of influence people from celebrities to executive, what is one piece of advice you would give someone who inspires to build lasting, meaningful relationships with people at the top level, whether it's in business or entertainment?
You have to be unapologetically yourself. It is the most bravest, most courageous thing you could do, is to wear your heart on your sleeve, cry when you want to cry, say what you really feel, and to be the most honest, authentic version of yourself. Yes, you're going to be ostracized. People are going to be mean to you. You're going to get pushed out. People are going to try to exploit you. And absolutely. And never in a million years would I tell you that it's sunshine and roses. You're going to get Game of Thrones. You will get it. But if you are brave enough and courageous enough to love yourself and to trust and follow your intuition, and really live in the more spiritual, intuitive part of yourself, then you will have less of these people and more of the people who identify with you. People like you were asking me these real questions. I'm so glad people are finally asking me these questions, but it's because I've allowed myself to answer these questions. So the more you are courageous of being yourself and say, yeah, it's not always pretty. People are mean and people are hurtful. But then you start to align yourself, kind of like that Blind Melon video with the bumblebee girl. You eventually find your other bumblebee boys and girls. And you start to create this world that is more authentic to you. And it is a better place. And you feel healthier, and you feel happier, and you feel more joyful and more peace, because you feel at peace and at one with your true self, not this made up version of you that you have to be to survive.
Yeah, the fake image that you created. Yeah, that's why creating an authentic, it's way simpler just being yourself in life than just keep this facade forever. So thanks for coming on the podcast. Where can everybody find your socials and find you online if they need your help?
Yeah, it's easy. It's just at Leslie Juvin-Acker, all one word. So you see it here on the image. At Leslie Juvin-Acker on Instagram. If you go on YouTube and look at author Leslie, you'll find me on YouTube. I've got my little series, Leslie and Castellanauteri, where I take people in to see this little rural town and middle of nowhere, southwest of France, that I moved to, and I just talk about my life. I just want to create something for myself. So you can join that journey there. My website, lesliejuvin-acker.com, where I blog and ask questions and take you on my journeys and my adventures. I don't really particularly have anything to sell. You can buy my books all on the internet. It Pays to Be You. I have La Libération, which is a romance novel. And if you want to go into my world and learn the lessons that I've learned from the elite and the rich and the famous and all the things, you can find those books on Amazon.
Perfect. So thanks again for coming on, Leslie. It was a blast having you on.
Thank you so much. I really love your questions. Keep asking them.
I appreciate that. So thanks everybody and have a great weekend.